Defensive Player of the Year. Jokic drawing. Murray thought about it. Shot clock at 7, and he was grabbed by Mike Conley. And now Mitchell. He's got Millsap on a switch, which means he's going right through the defense. Royce O'Neal doesn't want it. Mike Conley does. His three is perfect. This is the best three-point.
Great eye contact, but poor transition defense that time by the Nuggets in particular. See offensive foul inside by Torrey Craig, but in particular,
Nerves are going to have to score. Utah, their A game in game 2, they are playing wonderfully again today. Conley for 3. Will push into the front court. Mike Conley again, wide open 3. And that's going to necessitate the timeout right away. And that's why he took the timeout.
Well, you know, you talked about, you said this a little bit earlier about the offense stepping up for Denver. But, see a foul called. Your defense.
Right now, Denver got destroyed in the second half of game 2. And not an auspicious beginning to game 3.
Another deflection, another steal,
turnover.
Another turnover. Utah is just a sharper team on both ends of the floor. More importantly,
second quarter.
Well, we always talk about, and you said it last game, and coaches would talk about how do we close out quarters? How do we close out the half to get momentum? And you're not going to close it out giving up a straight.
It's in Phil Jackson's book. The lob to Gobert again. Rudy Gobert, rim run. And it's up to Jokic on this end to deal with his center matchup. Mike Conley. I'll tell you, Utah is
against this Nugget team, and they're able to exploit some mismatches that they do have.
The Yang on the drive and flipping it up and in. Well, what Utah wanted, and by Grant, what a block!
A little attitude right there with that block shot.
Give it back to Jeremy Grant, but that will be an offensive foul. It's a problem along with Denver's shooting and the brilliance of Utah.
Great defense that time by Murray.
Oh, what a block! And Murray taking it right in game shot clock difference. Down to 5. Conley's got Jokic on the switch. The step back 3. Good!
Paying close attention to him. You hedge in now that corner. You're in this line of sight. He'll get it to you.
Ingles stopped. Mike Conley.
Speaking
what
of which,
a game.
Speaking more so from a defensive perspective with Jeremy Grant. Trust him a little bit more, knowing that Porter Jr. can get back in the game and give you offense.
Conley.
You're trying to figure out how we fit in because he attracts so much from the defense. Now you on offense have to make the adjustment. And speaking of which, how about Mike rally the troops? You have that kind of with Mike Conley Jr., who's kind of been there, done that before for the Jazz. Who is that person if you're the Denver Nuggets?
Well, in Denver, it's just possession by possession. Conley's got Jokic on the switch. Shot clock down to 5, and he's human. He finally missed a 3, but Gobert again, Clarkson, Tony Bradley, George Niang, and Mike Conley. As Quinn Snyder, I mean, he could play some deeper reserves. Michael Porter Jr. tipping it out. And for Michael Malone, he's looking for anybody off the bench. And they normally sure-handed Monte Morris just long enough to know how to handle things. Conley playing beat the clock, and that point, I mean, if he comes back and they're down 0-2 and it's more frantic, and instead it's like Jazz were brilliant in game 2 and they just built on it here, and George Niang opens
that adds value. Maybe Troy Daniels defensively, you see something in him that says, you know what, we may need that spark in the next game early on to create some kind of moment.
Just a look at Plumlee keeping it alive after the Daniels miss. Mike Conley says, let me commit a foul because I get to come out of